Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And welcome to our regular meeting on today, which is Thursday, May 23rd. At this time, we'll have our roll call. Mr. Clerk?
Dominic, Lyndon Johnson,
Present.
Jackson, Lynn,
Present.
Bowman,
Present.
Hawthorne, Gage Watts,
Present.
Middleton,
Here.
Atkins, Chavez,
Here, sir.
Smith, Lewis Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Well, we're having our invocation by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne, but I can't find him right now.
He was praying already.
Okay. We're gonna have it, Commissioner Lewis Johnson will do our invocation, and
Listen to him.
I hear him coming.
I hear him from.
Hey, that's okay. We're gonna go ahead with it. Commissioner Lewis Johnson, would you do our invocation and our pledge by Vice President Mario Chavez? Please stand and silence your cell phones.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, Lord, we come before you now in the name of Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Lord, we thank you for this day, O Lord. We thank you for your grace and mercy. We thank you for your gift of life. Lord, we pray that you would, by your Spirit and by your power, give us wisdom beyond our own, O Lord, so that we might do those things that are pleasing in your sight. Lord, we pray that you would bless this meeting, put us on one accord, O Lord, and all that we say and all that we do will give you glory. This is our prayer in the precious and perfect name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If everybody in the room would face our flag, if you are a prior military or in uniform or veteran, you may render a hand-to-brow salute. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. Thank you, commissioners. I have no agenda additions. Mr. Clerk, do you have any?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, next item is citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearings, items listed on the agenda only will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each for or against an issue. Those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with this limitation in mind. I have one card, Mr. Clerk. Brandon Graham.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Graham. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please step to the mic.
Yes.
You can state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
All right. Hello, my name is Brandon Graham, and I'm very glad to be here and honored to be here. I'm representing the first annual 5K run that Alex Ray and myself and Oasis Outreach Group and Each One Teach One and other community collaborators, we're joining together to bring something new to Shreveport, to where we highlight fathers and also raise money to bring resources to fathers and fathers that have kids, so we can provide more opportunities. And also we want to start the dialogue of celebrating fathers that have been active in their children's lives, and we want to, I guess, lead by example by having all these fathers and all of Shreveport that wants to participate come out, and so they can see a good representation of what fatherhood and, brotherhood and fellowship should look like. Yes.
That's it?
I'm sorry. The event is also, it's going to be on June 8th. Registration right now is $25. It's going to be $35 at the door. You could also register at www.sportspectrum.com. Also, there are some registration packets at Boss Man's Barber World. I am very optimistic about this event, to where I feel like this is something that Shreveport can annually hold at the state fairgrounds, and therefore we can get, once again, some great participation from fathers in the Shreveport region. Did anyone have any questions as far as what type of.
We can't ask you questions at this time.
Okay, I
But thank you so
apologize.
much for coming down.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I do appreciate the time. We're looking forward to anyone who wants to support. We do appreciate all the support that we have received from the commissioners, and hopefully we'll see some of you all out there. June 8th is the date, and we thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next card I have is Mr. Joe Kane.
Good afternoon.
Good
Appreciate your
afternoon, Mr.
time.
Kane.
I'm with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, and about 2 months ago, we did a presentation to the Economic Development Committee of the Caddo Commission. And from the outcome from that, with Mr. Cawthorn and Mr. Chavez, we're putting together a Opportunity Zone Conference on May 30th. You all will receive invitations tomorrow. I'm going to kind of give you an overview on it. Trying to do it quickly. Opportunity zones came out of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. And what they did is they reached out to governors and mayors to say what areas are economically depressed and have not come out of the recovery. This was 2016, 2017. And we can think of some cities where, unfortunately, we had 5 zones in the city of Shreveport and 1 in the parish. There's over 180 opportunity zones in the state. And it's another tax incentive for investors to look into these depressed areas. They take capital gains that you put into these areas, they cut the percentage, but if you hang on to the property or the business for 10 years, the appreciation will not be taxed, no capital gains. So you have a building or a business that's $2.5 million to get started in downtown Shreveport, let's say. 10 years from now, you sell it for $4 million. That $1.5 million gap will not be taxed. It's exempt from capital gains. So it's just another incentive program. And according to what I've read, there's a funds worth $37 billion are sitting in qualified opportunity funds looking to be deployed in opportunity zones. This is an opportunity, either our community to help build these zones, these funds, or someone's got to go out and call these people in New York and Chicago and LA and say, hey, come invest in Shreveport. That's what this is about. It's an economic development tool. Our firm has been studying this since it came to fruition. We will present. We will have 2 lawyers that are going to joint present, because you do need some legal advice in this group. We're trying to work out to get the regional HUD director. She may not be here, but we're trying to work out that she can present remotely. Also going to have EAP present, because let's look at it. They're trying to get startups going. And I sat in one meeting and an investor kept saying, who's going to go in the building? What's going to happen there? So maybe we can draw from EAP and again make this a cumulative force to try to help create some economic development in our area. So you all get invitations. Invitations are set up that you can take it and forward it if there's somebody you can think of, either an investor, contractor, somebody who owns a building, is a developer. You can forward it to them, and it's free to the public. It'll be in our offices over on East Preston. So I think that's about it. You can't ask questions? Okay. Well, hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kane.
Thank you.
I have another card. This first name, is it T.H. Mack Sr.?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mack?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mack.
evening.
If you would state your name for the record.
T.H. Mack Sr.
It is T.H. Okay,
Correct.
thank you, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. We came to address a property in the parish, in I think District 12, and there were some questions we had as it relates to the. I'm assuming it's the city attorney that would be able to possibly answer some of the questions. as it relates to the parish attorney, excuse me, as it relates to some of the dealings that has happened with the titling of the property and other things, and hoping to get that participation.
Okay. Attorney Frazier?
I'll step out and speak.
Okay. She will step out and speak with you shortly, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I have no other cards, Mr. Clerk. Next item, please.
We have no visitors. Next, we move to special resolutions. Special resolution of recognition to Booker T. Washington High School, recognizing the Lady Lions 2019 track and field team.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson?
So move for adoption. Yeah. So move for adoption.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and it's been second by Commissioner Leah Carthorne. Please stand.
If the ladies would like to come up.
Yes. The Lady Lions, their coach, principal, staff, who are with them as well, please join us at the front. Right there. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution of recognition to Booker T. Washington Lady Track and Field State Runner-Ups. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to observe and enjoy the accomplishments of those Northwest Louisiana sons and daughters who have gone forth to attain success and distinction in the various endeavors they pursue. And whereas Lady Lions coach Erica Wynn brought her winning formula from Texas in 2013 and has worked to build a powerhouse in the Louisiana 4A girls track and field division. And whereas Coach Wynn's formula for success included the following Lady Lions: Kyler Turner, Alexis Harris, Portia Harris, Shabrenda Ford, Shadrika Cannon, Aisha Taylor, and Shakira Hugland, who spent countless hours training and preparing for the 2019 season. And whereas on May 4th, 2019 in Baton Rouge, Turner's first place finishes in the 100 meters, 100 meter hurdles, 300 meter hurdles, and second place finish in the 4x4 relays helped to anchor their runner-up team finish. Other team member top finishes included Alexis Harris, second place finish in the 400 meters. Portia Harris, fourth place finish in the 800 meters. Ford, Harris, Hugland, and Taylor, second place in the 4x100 and 4x200 relays. And Portia Harris, Taylor, Alexis Harris, and Turner's second place finish in the 4x4 relays. And whereas Coach Wynn and her Lady Lions team bring great pride to their school and community through their championship efforts on the track and in the classroom. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission that it does hereby declare and proclaim May 23rd, 2019 to be Booker T. Washington Girls and Track Field State Champion Runner-Ups Day.
Hip hip hooray!
You all may be seated. Not the recipients, just our guests in the audience. I'm sure some commissioners are going to want to have some warm sentiments to share with you all and wish you well on your journey. So just please stay there for a few minutes.
Anyone want to take videos? Smile, Steve. There you go.
There you go.
He's always smiling. You were. I ain't messing with you.
You want to present the principal, the proclamation?
I want to say thank you to the Shreveport Commissioners, and thank you goes to our principal. And also, I'm so proud of our young ladies for all their hard work and dedication this season. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Anyone else, commissioners? Okay, before you leave, I have one commissioner who's on board. Before he speak, I just want to wish these hardworking individuals who gave everything that they had, dedicated, you were committed to what you have achieved, not just because you're a woman, but because you're great athletes. So I wish you well on your journey, and I pray that you prosper in everything that you put your hands to do. Congratulations, ladies. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. I couldn't have said it better. I just want to say congratulations. You all are so great beyond what you all know. You're leaders amongst your peers. You represent not only leadership with your peers, but also for us and for other people and other schools to look up to, because this is something that everyone doesn't achieve, but it takes teamwork. You can't just get out there and do what you all did. It takes tenacity, it takes intel, and you all provided all of that. And it's just another great sign of what this wonderful school, Booker T. Washington High School, is and what it's become, and what this wonderful, beautiful principal has bestowed. And it's just showing all over, even with Mr. Montrell, Reverend Montrell.
Those are my friends.
Yes, all of you all have made this great, but you all don't know how much you make not only myself, but so many other people just proud of you, because y'all stuck together and y'all made it through. And this is just the beginning, so I just want to encourage you all and let you know we're proud of you here. All right, thank you, Madam President.
I got a couple comments. I want to personally thank and congratulate you guys publicly. As you guys all know, this is my alma mater, Booker T. Washington High School. We got some other alumni sitting in the audience today. You guys stand. Give us a round of applause.
Well, Commissioner, am I an alumni now? Since they merged the schools, does that make me an alumni?
Say that again?
Since they merged my school with your school, does that make me an alumni? I'm just curious. No, kidding. Just go ahead.
It can't be vicarious.
But I also want to take this public forum to congratulate our newest principal at BTW, Ms. Crystal Barnes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she has the distinction of being the first alumnus to graduate from BTW to lead the school since 1950. And so that deserves a rounds of applause. And lastly, I want to say this, that there were no graduating seniors on this team this year. So you know what that means.
We'll see
We'll
you
be back here
again.
next year, and they won't be the runner-ups, they'll be the state champions.
You know, we have you all here today to recognize your sports achievement, but we'd be remiss if we did not recognize that for the third year in a row, Booker T. Washington has excelled from moving from FD status to C status. And we know average is not what we're aiming for, but when we talk about high school achievements and the academic progress rates that the state measure you all, I think you have to be at least 2 years of academic progress to be removed out of what is, quote, an academically unacceptable school. So we want to give you all a round of applause and congratulations for that academic achievement that you also are excelling in. And while I'm a graduate of Woodlawn, it was always fun to come over to Booker T. Washington, and Commissioner Gage watched open a can of worms about that merger, but I'm honored to represent Booker T. Washington, and I look forward to working with our new principal and her team as well, so thank you.
Oh, and also add this, Mr. Jackson and I had the distinction, I represent his alumnus, and he represents my alumnus.
That's right.
We have. Well, I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson is on board, and those two commissioners owe you 3 minutes of their time.
No, not at all.
Seriously, you go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to commend our commissioners for recognizing and bringing the team before us today. They're all nice and pretty today, but we know there's a whole lot of hard work that went into what you all have accomplished. And it's apparent by the commissioners and by this body and all that are present here today that you've made this community proud. So not only are you representing Booker T, you're representing your parents, your community, and everyone that has contributed to your success. So we're all very, very proud of you. Congratulations and keep up the good work.
Yeah, we missed you. Congrats to you too. All right, we got the honorable.
What'd you say?
Mr. Lloyd coming in here, where'd he come
Yeah.
in? Oh, he been hiding?
Thompson, you want to say anything?
Welcome, Mr.
Good
Thompson.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I didn't want this day to pass by to let the young ladies know that we also are proud on behalf of Caddo Parish School Board, represents that district, and I didn't want Stephen Jackson to take all the credit that he represents them.
Okay.
I represent them also, so we're so proud of them. We're looking for big and better things next year. We're proud of our principal and her staff, so you're gonna hear great things happen at Booker Washington, and you're gonna be want to run over there and be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. And ladies, if y'all stay right there, principal, staff, I'm on my way down for a special resolution anyway, so you may as well take a picture with the president.
Where's Crystal? Get up here and take a picture. You don't mind? No, this one. You know, it's election year, Stormy getting out there, getting their picture taken.
Oh, that's right.
They're not in your district.
Right out there. She's out there because she represents us all.
She does good.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. Doug that out there.
What?
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Congratulations again.
All right, Mr. Hopkins.
At this time, we have a special reading in recognition of resolution number 36 of 2019, which is the National Maritime Day resolution. We have two guests with us today. Mr. Ted Knight, which is the Director of Operations at the Caddo Bossier Port, and Captain Thomas Murphy, which is the Commissioner for Caddo Bossier Port. They're both graduates of the United States Merchant Marine.
Hoorah, please stand,
As
everybody.
a matter of fact, Mr. Murphy, Captain Murphy, is graduated from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York, class of 1957. He's the first graduate from Shreveport.
That's right.
Since the United States Merchant Marine Academy became a permanent federal academy. I just wanted to let people know about that. At this time, we have a special resolution in the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution number 36 of 2019. The resolution declaring May 22nd, 2019 as National Maritime Day and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Whereas on May 22nd, 1819, the steamship the Savannah set sail from Savannah, Georgia on the first successful transoceanic voyage under steam propulsion, thus making a material contribution to the advancement of ocean transportation. And whereas on May 20th, 1933, the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled and approved that May 22nd of each year shall be designated and known as National Maritime Day. And whereas during World War II, in what became the world's largest sea lift operation, more than 250,000 members of the American Merchant Marine served their country, with more than 6,700 giving their lives, hundreds being detained as prisoners of war, and more than 800 ships being sunk or damaged. And whereas waterways have enabled much of the commerce that has expanded America's economy, sprouted cities near waterways, and facilitated vast domestic and international commerce, crucial to our economy today. And whereas merchant mariners have served America with distinction throughout our history, but especially at critical moments of war and national disaster. And whereas the United States Merchant Marine and thousands of other workers in our nation's maritime industry continue to make immeasurable contributions to our economic strength and our ongoing efforts to build a more peaceful world. And whereas the United States Merchant Marine also shepherds the safe passage of American goods, move exports to customers around the world, support the flow of domestic commerce on our maritime highways, strengthen our nation's economy, bolster job creation, and along with the transportation industry, employ Americans on ships and tugs and in ports like Port of Caddo, Bossier. And whereas it is the desire of the Caddo Parish Commission to Caddo Parish's Port Commission to increase the awareness of maritime industry with Caddo and Bossier parishes in the state of Louisiana. Now therefore be it resolved that the Caddo Parish Commission joins the President of the United States of America in proclaiming May 22nd, 2019 as National Maritime Day and calls upon the citizens to celebrate this observance.
You may be seated.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all. It's a touching thing for me. With 39 years, 10 months, and 15 days sea time and maritime connection. I sort of had to rehearse, but Ted and I represent at least 75 years of the marine industry. And I am very grateful that this body recognizes the fact that Shreveport, Caddo Parish, probably wouldn't exist without its maritime roots. When you think about it, Shreve town, Shreve port,
Right.
Shreveport,
That's right.
in that order. Commissioner Middleton had just asked if I might expand just for a second on what this particular day means. May the 22nd of 1819, the four-masted, full-rigged sailing ship Savannah was sailed from Savannah, Georgia, and aboard that particular ship was a 90 horsepower inclined boiler ram with two removable paddle wheels, one for each side. It went on the 22nd of May, 12 miles down the river to Tybee Island at the mouth of the Savannah River to the Atlantic to take on coal and wood for the transatlantic voyage. That would be today. Tomorrow, 200 years ago, that vessel sailed for Liverpool, England, arriving on the 19th of June, 1819. And looking at it, it took an average of about 7 1/4 knots, whereas the boiler was only used when they got less than 4 knots. Fast forward in my personal career, 1958, on a World War II built C2 class vessel leaving New Orleans for Liverpool, England, not from Savannah, but from New Orleans, 14 days at 14.5 knots. Fast forward to 1961, when the nuclear ship Savannah sailed. That particular ship, as compared to the 98-foot-long sailcraft, 25 feet wide, 14-foot draft, with a total gross displacement of 350 tons. The nuclear ship Savannah was 591.5 feet long, 72 feet wide, with a deep draft of 29.5 feet. I captained vessels of that size, probably 20 of the 23 ships I captained. That particular vessel, 591.5 feet long, 72, with a gross tonnage of 26,000 tons, with a horsepower of 20,300. The original Savannah cost all of $50,000 in 1819. The nuclear ship Savannah cost $46.7 million in 1959 to $61, which is double the price that Likes Brothers Steamship Company was paying for vessels of the same size with steam engines. Two of my classmates were engineers on that Savannah. One told me, after you heat the water in the boiler, it's nothing but a steamship. We thank you again. The Port of Caddo-Bossier thanks you. This year will be a remarkable year, if not a record-setting year for us, and we owe you our gratitude. Thank you.
If I may, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
Just to acknowledge, first of all, of course, the port is in District 8, and Captain Murphy also resides in District 8, and I'm proud for that. I appreciate everything he's done in his semi-what military career. And you too, Ted, appreciate everything you've done. It's been great. If you've not read the memoirs of Captain Murphy, they are available, and I think they are, at least I got a chance to read it, so I encourage you. I think Commissioner Atkins also read it. So thank y'all for indulging us today, and I thank y'all, and I thank you, the Port Commission, and our Maritime Mariners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Murphy, for sharing that historical information with the citizens of Caddo Parish.
This
Next
time,
item, Mr.
we have a
Clerk.
special resolution of recognition to the Isabella Simon Sanders Scholarship Awards Banquet.
Commissioner Jackson, please stand.
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution of welcome and recognition to the 25th Annual Isabella Simon Sanders Scholarship Awards Banquet. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is pleased to acknowledge events of significance that occur in the community and to recognize the organizations and individuals who are now and for a long time have been in the forefront of positive and worthy activities and deeds that accrue to the benefit of all. And whereas such an organization is Isabella Simon Sanders Scholarship Fund that will be held on Saturday, May 25th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at the Mount Bethel No. 1 Baptist Church in Keithville, Louisiana. And whereas 25 years ago, the family of Miss Isabella Simon Sanders established a scholarship in her honor as a memorial to her and the work to which she dedicated her life. Ms. Sanders worked in education for over 39 years with the Caddo Parish School Board. She began her career as a teacher, and during her career was promoted to principal and then to supervisor. She exemplified the scholarship motto, promoting education, recognizing achievement, and supporting the community. Ms. Sanders passed away recently in March 2019, and family and friends are still grieving her loss to our community. And whereas the I.S. Sanders Scholarship Fund awards scholarships to graduating seniors from Caddo Parish and surrounding communities who will attend a post-high school, college, or vocational school. Preference is given to graduates who live, work, or attend church in the Keyfield, Louisiana community, graduates from Southwood High School, or residents of Caddo Parish. And whereas the scholarship is designed to encourage and recognize scholarship, good character, and other achievements of youth in the community. And whereas during its 25-year existence, the I.S. Sanders Scholarship Fund has been able to award over 80 scholarships and is sustained by voluntary pledges and contributions from organizations, businesses, sponsors, family, and friends. Since its inception, the I.S. Sanders Scholarship Fund has awarded over $80,000 in scholarships to Caddo Parish students to further their education. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal session convened that it does hereby welcome and recognize the Isabella Simon Sanders Scholarship Fund and Awards Banquet and request all citizens of the parish to join in applauding the committee in selection of 2019 scholarship recipients. Now therefore be it further resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission recognizes and thanks the Graham family of Keyfield for carrying on the mission and legacy of Isabella Simon Sanders.
You all may be seated. Would any of the members of the family, would you like to have something to say?
I guess I'm speaking.
All right.
On behalf of the, first of all, to the president and to the commissioners, on behalf of my family, I'd like to recognize who's here. My sister Letitia, my nephew Isaiah, my sister Bernadette, and my sister Lennis, and I'm Paulette. On behalf of the I.S. Sanders Scholarship, we graciously accept and appreciate this recognition that you have given to us today. As was previously said, Ms. Sanders passed away in March. But if anybody knows her or knew her, she was a servant. She was a person who gave to the community. And what we like to do, what the family would like to do, is to continue that legacy. We would like to thank you for this recognition because that encourages us to continue to go on. This is 25 years. Some of us are getting up in age. I hope I'll be around 25 more years, but we'll pass the torch on to the younger people. Our banquet is this Saturday, and your commissioner, Stephen Jackson, is our keynote speaker. So we're inviting all of you to attend that this Saturday at 6 o'clock in Keithville at the Mount Bethel No. 1 Baptist Church. And before I sit down, since we're talking about alumni, there's 13 of us. And we proudly say that all 13 of us graduated from Southwood High School. All 13 of us. Thank y'all.
Thank you all.
Well, I just wanted to just say thank you to the family. I will be the speaker. I have requested smoke. I requested a smoke machine and something to lure me from the air and
like Beyonce
and a cape. So, but no, we thank you. I've attended the scholarship banquet for quite some time. Councilman Bradford and I, when she was up and moving around, I believe she must have been a constituent of Councilman Bradford because they were very close, and he could not make it today. But we do appreciate the legacy and service that Miss Isabella Sanders left for Caddo Parish, and we appreciate the Graham family for carrying on this legacy. No public funds involved, all private contributions to make this work and to continue to further education of the lives in Caddo Parish. So thank you all, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't leave yet. We have one other commissioner who would like to make a statement to you all.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn Thorne.
I just want to, thank you, Madam President. I just want to accent what you just said and your loyalty to your high school. You said it's 13 of you all, and you all went to graduate from Southwood. Yes. I have the exact same distinction. I have 13 siblings, and we are all graduates of BTW.
Okay.
So thank you, and God bless you.
Madam President, we had a motion and a second for the first resolution, but if we could englobo.
Yes.
I will
all
make a
three.
motion to englobo all
Second.
three. It's been moved by the chair, and it was seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Please vote.
Jackson, Mr. Bowman. There we go, Val. Thank you.
And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Let's adopt the regular session minutes from May
So
9th.
moved.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by, is that Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yes.
Okay. Please vote.
Mr. Smith.
It's not coming up. Got it, you go.
All right, and that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports, administration response to information requests.
We have no response for any questions that we've had so far.
Thank you, Mr. Lucky.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lucky, I understand that this is your last meeting.
It
with us.
is.
Wow.
You will certainly be missed. We don't want to do too much roasting, but we just had to publicly say to you, on behalf of the commission, you certainly will be missed. We know that it's going to be very quiet around here without you, so many of us will try to emulate you along the way, but we wish you all the best and have a great and prosperous life because you deserve it. You worked a long time in government. God bless you for all of your
Amen.
years
Yes,
of
ma'am.
dedicated
Thank you
service.
very much. Thank all y'all very much.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Do it.
No communiques, committee reports. We'll move to president's report.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Good afternoon again, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, as we pause to celebrate Memorial Day weekend with barbecues and outdoor activities, I'm glad that Captain Murphy came down today to help us be educated while we are celebrating this occasion. I think it is very imperative for us to educate our children on the purpose of this day as we pay homage to those who have died and given their lives for our freedom. I know that we will be having a lot of activities around our lakes and rivers here in Caddo Parish. I want to remind you all to please take heed and respect the warnings that are issued to protect you and to keep you safe. The rivers and the lakes are extremely high during this time. I want to welcome back our communications director, Ms. Crystal Grindley.
Yay.
Hey, I was looking for you out there. She's over there. I know it's not easy working for 12 companies at once because we all represent a different company up here, plus this entire organization as a whole. But nevertheless, we're confident that you will be able to provide the services as you have in the past to take care of us individually as well as collectively. So we're glad to have you back. I have so much work that's backlogged for you to do, so I'm excited to have you back on board. So get ready for me to blow up your phone again. But I just wanted to publicly welcome you back. Okay, 420. Okay, now that I have you all's attention. 531, NOPCO has kicked off an awareness campaign. May 31st is known as the World Non-Smoking Tobacco Awareness Day. And I just want to make sure that we in Caddo Parish, I normally do resolutions about these things. We got the stroke on here, thinking fast, and high blood pressure awareness. However, I missed non-smoking awareness day. So I want to make sure that we take time to just, you see somebody, just be bold enough to say, stop the butt, kick the butt to the curb, just for one day, for May 31st. But we really need to raise awareness, especially in our communities, because it is still the #1 killer among African Americans. On today, there was an unveiling ceremony for 3 community leaders that took place at Bill Cockrell Park. There were 2 former commissioners who were unveiled and honored, and they were Bill Cockrell and our beloved Joyce Bowman. J.W. Hudson was also honored and unveiled. I would like to congratulate Councilman, Chair of the Council, Mr. Jerry Bowman Jr., for being the recipient of the Joyce Bowman Award. I would also like to say congratulations to all the graduates in Caddo Parish. We are very proud of your accomplishments, and we're praying for the best in your future endeavors. I would also like to extend a congratulations to the Caddo Parents of the Year recipients. I attended the award banquet on last Thursday, the last Thursday that we met, I should say. That is an award that I hold in high esteem. As a former recipient myself, I understand the commitment and the dedication that it took to be chosen for that award. And a special recognition to our mayor, Mr. Adrian Perkins, for his amazing encouraging words to the parents. And I hope that my teacher is listening, Mrs. Rosalind Glover Bryant. Or I hope that you're watching, I should say. I thank you for allowing me to represent the parish and be a part of this event. On my way here today, I want to make sure that parents understand the importance of making sure that our children are safe and that we're actually talking to them. As there was a very young man who was crossing I-20 at the hilliest part of the interstate. My nerves were actually through the roof for a little while because it's so dangerous. And there were 18-wheelers, coming in both directions, and he just basically just darted out in front of the cars. I think it's important for us to remind them the danger of crossing the interstate at any time. It's not safe for an adult, let alone a teenager. And I don't know what it is that we can do to stop that, but that is something that could be avoided because it did not have to end as well as it did on today. But I thank God for the angels that were in place. But I hope that we are encouraging our kids to stay involved this summer. I know it's downtime and relaxing, but there are so many activities. As it's been requested to put on our website, there are a plethora of events and activities in place for your children to do this summer. They do not have to sit idle and do nothing. They are being provided, and a lot of those things are being provided absolutely free of charge to you. So just make sure that you do your best to keep them involved and as safe as possible. There will be a motorcycle ride for sickle cell awareness held at St. Matthew's AME Church parking lot on this Saturday, May 25th, 2019. Please bring your coins, your dollars. All donations are accepted. It is a motorcycle ride. We will get a chance to maybe ride or listen or watch some of those fancy motorcycles along the way. But
are you gonna ride?
I may. I
said
stopped
we?
riding. I don't know. You have to wait and see. No, actually, I'll be out of town though. I just want to make sure that we understand the importance of staying safe with the rivers the way that they are rising. I cannot stress that enough. Trees are falling. Tree fell on a man's house in North Caddo. Happened to be my cousin that happened to.
Where at?
He's a former
I saw
police
somebody on
officer
right there
in
on the
Bossier
North
Parish.
Market area. Is that
Exactly, yes.
Just this side of 49?
Yes.
Is that really?
Yes.
I
So
saw a
please
road
be
come up.
safe. Be safe out there with the weather conditions. We are still under a flood watch and being monitored closely. I see we have SOS here. I see the founder, Ms. LaWanda Finney, back there. Hey, wave your hands. And I know that she is also working actively on activities for our boys that Save Our Sons Foundation. We're glad that you came down to see us on today. And that will conclude my report. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5875 of 2019. Set the general purpose millages and special purpose millages and to instruct the tax assessor to include said millage on tax roll of the parish of Caddo for the year 2019.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5875 of 2019? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5875 of 2019? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5875 closed.
We move to ordinance number 5876 of 2019. To adopt the values fixed or to be fixed by the Louisiana Tax Commission on all assessments for railways and other public service corporations, and to instruct the assessor to extend such assessments and values on the tax roll of the Parish of Caddo for the year 2019.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5876? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5876? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5876 closed.
Ordinance number 5877 of 2019, setting the assessment of property classified as timberlands and to instruct the assessor to include said assessment on the tax roll of the Parish of Caddo for the year 2019.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5877? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5877? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5877 closed.
Ordinance number 5878 of 2019, setting the parish millage for the purpose of paying principal and interest due in 2019 on outstanding parish bond issues and to instruct the assessor to include said millage on the tax roll of the Parish of Caddo for the year 2019.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5878? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5878? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5878 of 2019 closed.
That closes the public hearing on ordinances. We move to ordinances and final passage. Ordinance number 5875 to set the general purpose millages and special purpose millages for 2019.
Commissioner Dominic?
Yeah, I move to englobe and adopt ordinance number 5875, ordinance number 5876, ordinance number 5877, and ordinance number 5878 that were just read.
Second. And that was moved by Commissioner Dominic, and that was seconded by Commissioner John Atkins. Would you like to speak, Commissioner Dominic?
Just briefly, these are all setting our millages that are being recommended from our finance department. We have to do this each and every year, so please ask you for your support on this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a substitute motion on ordinance number 5875 to reduce the biomedical tax from 1.71 to 1.24 mils.
I'll second.
That was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and that was seconded by Commissioner Mike Middleton. Would you like to speak on your motion, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, I think this is an opportunity to reduce the tax burden on some of the residents of Caddo Parish. Biomedical has been a participant of a federal grant that will give them and some other medical organizations $20 million. So in lieu of that, I see us to help reduce the tax burden on the locals.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yes, Ms. Barnett, these tax millages, these have not gone up in how many years?
Oh, gosh, we haven't rolled forward in 20+ years.
Okay, and so these taxes, including the biomed millage, this is what it was 20 years ago. And so we have not rolled forward, meaning not reassessing, not charging a greater tax amount. So the taxes have either frozen or through reassessment and higher bond ratings, the taxes have actually gone down, haven't they?
They remain the same or go down, yes.
Okay, thank you. So in support of this and in recognition that the taxpayers are getting as good of a deal as they can on a tax, these taxes have either stayed the same or gone down over the last 20 years. I'm going to support these as presented and motioned by Commissioner Dominic and seconded by Commissioner Atkins. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Attorney Frazier.
I just was going to state that in order to reduce the actual number of meals, it would have to go back in front of the voters.
That's what I thought.
Can I say?
Yeah.
I thought when the voters vote on it, that's the maximum amount of millage that can be assessed, and that it can be lowered at any time. That's what the ruling was when I made a motion to reduce it to zero a couple years ago.
I don't believe that is correct, but I think it has to actually go before, the actual number has to go before the voters. You can roll forward or you can roll backwards.
But you can't reduce.
So is that a certain or is that a
There might be something that you want me to get back to you on.
So we need to postpone 8775 until you come back with that information?
Yes.
All right, well then someone needs to make that motion, because I can't.
Okay.
Also move.
That's it, Attorney Frazier? Thank you.
Can we make the motion?
Yeah. No, it's somebody else. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, I would, Donna or Todd, maybe you can ask, are we on a timeline to get this information? Are we supposed to have it by June 1st?
I've just been informed that yes,
Ma'am?
I've just been informed that today is your last day to set them, yes.
And, I don't know if it's the end of the world. I mean, if you didn't set it by June 1st, it's just you're supposed to, if I'm correct.
It's gonna affect your collection rates for next year.
Well, the documents, as far as that has to go to Charlie Hennington, I mean, he's supposed to have it by June 1st. If he gets it by June 15th, it's not, I don't think it's gonna kill anything, but I do know that it's supposed to be done by June 1st. That's why I brought this up. Because the other municipalities I represent have to do it, but sometimes they're a little bit later. But that being said, I don't really understand why we would be trying to reduce something from the biomed, at least without hearing from them or something along those lines. So I think we need to go ahead and pass these as they're being presented. If we have some issues, we need to decrease that or something, we need to get biomed involved in that. So I hope everybody supports the original motion to englobo and adopt these. Or if y'all want to go by one, then we can do that too.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominic. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Yes, I move that we postpone ordinance 5875 until further notice and information.
Can you make it to the next meeting?
To the next meeting, to be more specific.
Adopt it today.
Does that?
Can I do a friendly amendment to that?
Sure.
That we will have a special meeting next week before the June 1st deadline.
I'm sorry, say again. Is there any way I can get you the information before June 1st?
That we will have another commission meeting, a regular session meeting, a special meeting before the June 1st deadline.
That's to postpone.
They'll postpone it to that date.
To that day.
Which would be sometime next week.
The problem we run into is we're off on Monday. City meets Tuesday.
Okay.
I believe the MPC meets on Wednesday.
Okay.
So.
At least Thursday and Friday.
Well, but we've got to have an agenda also
What about
ready.
in the morning time?
The agenda is very
Point
basic.
of order.
Very basic.
Point of order.
Commissioner Jackson.
I don't think I heard a second to the motion, so.
Second.
Okay.
That's it.
I thought,
Friendly amendment.
I just wanted
Let me
to, I
ask
just wanted to
the-
put us in proper context.
Commissioner Johnson,
Thank
did you second that motion?
Yes.
I
With the
I-
friendly amendment.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Okay.
But, okay, so what about Thursday or Friday? That's 2 days that's left. And there's only one thing on the agenda.
Can I ask for a point of order too?
Sure.
Todd, on these millages, there's a certain deadline that has to be published in the paper 30 days before, 60 days.
Yeah,
And will we violate that rule? Do we need to start all that over again? Or Donnie, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure. Legal would have to look at that, but
I know what you're talking about, and what you could do. I don't think you would necessarily violate that because it's been advertised.
I agree.
For this meeting, and you're acting on the same motion that you have on the agenda for this meeting. So you should be okay from that standpoint.
I'm waiting on the answer, that's all.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson.
I call for the question on the previous motion.
Second.
Okay, question has been called by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Vice President Chavez. Please vote.
Just to be
Motion.
clear.
This is the motion to postpone.
No, this is
No,
the
this
call
the
for the
motion to call
question.
the question.
Right, to postpone.
Right.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So the
No,
motion.
the motion is to
Got it.
call for the question.
Call for a question
Yeah,
first.
but what's your,
Right.
I'm trying to figure out what your motion is. Your motion is
The
to
previous
postpone
question
it
was for
till-
postpone.
So we'll have a
Postponement.
special meeting next week, correct? Before
Right.
June 1st.
Right.
But right now, we are only voting
Voting
on
to
calling
Right.
for the question.
Correct.
We still have other motions on the floor.
Correct.
So that's all we're voting on at this time. Is that understood?
Yes.
Okay, please vote. Okay, and that passes. Now we are voting on the substitute motion.
And the substitute motion is to postpone ordinance number 5875 until a special meeting can be held before June 1st.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Please vote.
Six.
Split.
Well, you said it's not about
Okay.
So now we vote on the motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Middleton, to reduce the millage from 1.71. And what was the amount, Mr. Johnson?
1.24.
That's what I thought, but I want to be sure.
But I thought that was, she basically said we couldn't do that.
That is the one do it at y'all risk.
It's still was a motion on the floor, so that's why.
Okay, so we're voting on something in our legal department that says we should do
You
this.
don't have
until-
the floor to talk.
Please vote.
And to be clear, my motion was called for the question on the previous
Okay.
question, not on.
Correct.
That's why I wanted to be clear on.
So we can still talk on that.
Correct, that's why I wanted.
But he ain't have the floor though.
Because there was some other motions.
Correct. And that's the
Okay.
order.
Commissioner Jackson, are you on board to speak on
Yes,
this
Madam
motion?
President. Yes, I just think that, I don't know what the issue is with the Biomedical Research Foundation tax. Do we need to do an assessment of all of our millages, whether they go up or down? Maybe so, but I did not know about this before today, that we would entertain a motion. And so I think the most fiduciary thing for us to do is to go ahead and do what we have in front of us and not reduce this mill. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, I would totally agree with Commissioner Jackson, especially when our attorney is saying she doesn't know if we can legally do Commissioner Johnson's motion. I think we need to vote no on Commissioner Johnson's motion and go ahead and pass the taxes, which are these millage, excuse me, not taxes, I'm saying the millage, set our millage rates, because we do this each and every year. And again, it's the law. Says in the statute has to be adopted by June 1st. There's a reason behind that, so that we can get those millages to Mr. Hennington, so he can get them on the tax roll so that they can be collected. We can't be sending this on November 1st to him when the tax bill goes out on November 20th. Is that kind of correct, Ms. Frazier?
Correct.
What she said. Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I think you all know I'm all for reduced taxes. However, this is not the way by which I'd like to go about reducing our taxes. I think that we should take a holistic look and think about the entire picture and not just at the last minute reach out against one particular taxing entity. So for that reason, I will not be supporting Commissioner Johnson's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, Madam President. First off, I guess I'll applaud LBJ for wanting to reduce taxes. However, I agree with you, Commissioner Atkins. I'd like to see a little more information in regards to, I applaud them for getting the $20 million grant. I think we should think about this come budget season in October. And I know, Dave, if you're watching, you're not going to be very, very proud, but when it comes to giving the EAP some more money for next year in their budget, we'll go into it knowing that they have that grant, and congratulations to them. But I'd like to see more information in regards to it. I think you wanted to reduce it by 60 basis points on the mills. What they're getting now and what that $20 million grant was for, and then thus if they used it all next year, we'd be in a predicament in 2021
with them coming back to the table asking to raise it, and then we're, of course, we're going in front of taxpayers saying we want to raise taxes. So I think there's a lot of variables in this situation where if we had probably looked at this sooner than today, we could have probably come up with a decision. But for the simple fact that all the things that I said and the attorney is saying do it at our own risk, I'd rather not have John writing about us tomorrow. So we'll just go ahead. I'm gonna support the original motion of Doug and John Atkins and move forward. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. This has not been at the last minute for me. If you know, in the past, if you go back and look at some videos, this came up in the past. I said from where the millage was at that time to 0. And at that time, Commissioner Dominic said, we can't do that. And I asked the attorney at that point in time, can it be done? And she said, it could be. At this point, you know, I understand what y'all are saying that, you know, y'all didn't have this information privy to today. But at the same time, if you looked over all these taxes and saw where things was, then you could have possibly said, well, we could possibly reduce that. Or somebody else could make the motion to do it. But today it is the day to make substitute motions. So basically what y'all telling me is when we have something on the agenda, well, it needs to state what it is on the agenda and not be moved because it's at the last minute. So at that point, we vote. Y'all gonna vote to kill it, that's fine. But I will go on record to say to reduce it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
I'd like to recall my second on the substitute motion.
Okay.
You can do that.
Okay. Is that in the order?
So they dies for lack of a second?
No.
Because it's already on the floor and being
Yes.
discussed?
The second is only to give the right to speak about it. It's still on the floor.
Let's vote.
Yes. Let's vote. Not that I'm gonna vote in favor.
Okay. Please, we're voting on the original motion.
Substitute motion.
Oh, can you give us what it is?
The substitute motion was to reduce 5875 B, the biomedical foundation, from 1.71 to 1.24.
And
Linda's motion, LB's motion.
okay, please vote.
This is not the original.
Substitute motion. I said original, but I meant substitute motion that you just heard read by the clerk. Did anyone have any other questions about that? You voting? You understand? Okay. And that fails. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Now, we still need to vote on the original now to adopt the Englobo.
Okay. Please vote. As amended.
As in Globo.
Yeah, all of them adopted.
None of them were amended. Okay. And that passes 11-1.
Okay, next we move to zoning ordinance for introduction by title, zoning case 19-300-9 in regards to ordinance number 5879, amending the zoning of property located on the southwest corner of Williamson Way and Union Pacific Line from RE Residential Estate District to I-1 Light Industrial District. Next we move to ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5880 of 2019, amending section 30-52 of the Code of Ordinances relative to regulation of non-industrial waste, garbage, and junk to include, in violation of Chapter 30, Article 2, dilapidated and dangerous building and structures. Ordinance number 5881 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $20,000 to provide an appropriation for the Small Business Development Center. Next, we need to ratify the work session minutes.
Motion ratified.
Okay, that was moved by, was that Mike Middleton? Commissioner Mike Middleton, and that was second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Commissioner Stephen Jackson, you on the board?
Yes, I'd like to englobo and adopt work session minutes, resolution number 40, resolution number 41, resolution number 42, and to adopt the authorization of selecting
Lakeview
Waterworks
Second.
District for the LCD BG program.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson,
Second.
and it was seconded by the chair. And Miss Anita, is she here?
No, ma'am, she is not.
Okay. We already talked about this Monday during our work session. I see Commissioner Stephen Jackson, you're stuck on the board right now, so I don't see any other commissioners on the board to speak.
On for what? Let's vote.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Please vote.
Machine has been malfunctioned.
Okay, and that passes 12-0.
Next, we have communication committee reports.
Okay. Are you still on the board?
Happy Memorial
I
Day.
can go first.
I'm just asking, 'cause it's like, okay, 'cause I cannot get you out of the queue.
I'm out.
Okay, you're out.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
stuck. Commissioner Lewis Johnson?
Yes, no, we'd probably rather I did not want to take this opportunity to acknowledge my friend Jim Talifero in the back. I want to say hello to you and welcome to the meeting today.
District 8 guy.
Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Well, they all just disappeared.
I was
Please
next.
get back on the board. Okay. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yesterday, Commissioner Lewis Johnson and I collaborated in presenting C.E. Byrd High School's boys and girls, young men and young women's golf team for state championship.
Oh,
And,
right.
he did all the work and I got all the glory, and I need to share that with him.
Rightly
Thank
so.
you. Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
That's good.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, Travis or Kelvin. Thank y'all for the thank y'all for the update. I mean, y'all got right on this. So it sounds like we have a homeowner with the I guess the barking nuisance or whatever that is not compliant with y'all. Would y'all say they're not complying with y'all, or?
Well, upon their initial knock and talk, the lady closed the door, so we'll do some follow-ups.
So
usually it takes a couple days.
Okay.
To
But I
get
did see
compliance.
where somebody didn't want to sign an affidavit. Was that the person that was making the complaint? Or
No, that was the neighbor on the opposite side.
So she would he or she would be a witness to it?
Yes, if they were willing to sign a witness statement form, which would serve as an affidavit if they get a citation and go to court.
Okay, but that was not the person who the complaint was made against.
That's not the person who made the complaint.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if y'all could just kind of keep me in the loop on this particular issue. They did indicate that there was some issues with the structure, but it seems like y'all saying the structure is okay. They were saying some inhumane. Where is Charlotte battling them when you need them? I probably shouldn't ask them up. But if y'all could keep me
Yes, sir.
abreast on this, and let's kind of
Yes, sir.
wrap it up. I don't often get animal complaints in my
No problem.
district, but when I do, I'm not saying that they're not important, but I try to move on to
Yes, sir.
more pressing things. So if we could
Take care of it.
if we could wrap it up on it.
Okay.
And I don't know I hadn't had a chance to read through the whole book, but whatever we have to do to get it done, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
No
you, man. Clay. Get off of Santa Monica Street. I'm sure we're gonna get an email about Santa Monica before the day over with.
Yes, sir.
And I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is it Solan's law?
Solon.
Solon law. Okay.
Solon's law.
Excuse me.
Have you had a chance to take a look at that and how it might affect?
Have had a meeting with the judges today to discuss it. We're prepared for it. It asks for a risk assessment instrument. We've been doing that since 2007.
So we already had it again.
Have already been doing it. happy to help with the state. We're going to be working with the state on developing those in areas that don't have it.
Send them a bill for that.
Sorry?
Send them a bill for that.
No, we work in just, camaraderie with other departments. And then it has a section on studying solitary confinement in juvenile, and we don't do that.
Okay.
Happy to have the study, happy to have them review our policies. We don't use solitary confinement.
And just curious to know, and this is going to probably just be an exercise of mine, while folks are watching, I know there's supposed to be something coming out tonight about overcrowding and to raise the age. Have we had this, are we bursting at the seams now?
It is the same as it was I last told you. I'll certainly update the full commission if there's any changes. We remain at about 16 or 17. We've not been at capacity since March 1st, knock on wood. Things are going well. Our communication with the police department and the sheriff's department are going well. They're continuing to do more summons and use the misdemeanor referral center where it's appropriate, and so we're not at capacity.
So y'all haven't had to let any killers out?
We have not. We have not. The issue is going to be, as we said before, July 2020, those 17-year-olds will all be violent by definition. That's when the violent 17-year-olds transition to juvenile. Those 17-year-olds will not be subject to the misdemeanor referral center or summons. They're going to be coming to us. So that's when our real pinch is going to happen. What we're trying to do now is get our average daily population lower so that we're prepared for that.
So it seems like we can manage the misdemeanor side, but there may be some concern on the
Concerns are going to be July 2020. We're going to continue to do the steps we've always been doing to prepare for that.
Gotcha. Thank you, Clay. I appreciate you. And
yes, sir.
I'll just be asking for, I guess, a monthly update or a meeting-to-meeting update on if we're bursting at the seams out there.
What I've generally been doing at the end of the month, I'll give you the month's statistics that have just passed. So here in about a week, when we wrap up May, you'll get May's statistics to know everything.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Anything more, obviously, call me
Appreciate
anytime.
it. And I appreciate you and President Gage Watts participation in the forum the other day. And I get text messages about you when you're out and about. I think you were at something at Southern last month as well.
Sure was. Happy to be there with Commissioner Gage Watts, and Bishop Brandon worked with us pretty closely. He's a friend of the court. He's a friend to our system, so happy to work with him.
Well, African American ministers that was at Southern had rave reviews about you, so I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Glad to hear it.
And last thing, finance or administration,
Thank you, Mr. Clay.
Thank you, Clay. Do we have $12 million? I saw somebody said we had $12 million set aside to expand the jail or expand the juvenile. Do we? Because is that in the?
It's not set aside by any means, no, sir. But I mean, if you're talking about do we have the money, we have money in reserve trust for things, but that's it.
Is it for expanding the juvenile detention facility, or is it
It's
just?
not there for.
There's a whole lot of money in the reserve trust fund.
Not well, depending on what you say, a whole lot. But
Okay, but we don't have $12 million set aside for expanding the
That's what we do
juvenile
not.
detention center. Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. I saw it. I shared it with some folks this weekend and just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you,
Okay.
Madam President. That concludes my unread. If we could get together after the meeting, that concludes my comments, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that you brought up Director Walker. That was one of the things I had a note for. Just wanted to thank you and your staff for doing a great job, because we have not had one meeting about who to let go and who to keep over there. So I know that you're doing a great job. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate what Animal Services is doing. Kelvin and Travis, whenever I call them for something, some special needs, they're responsive. I appreciate that. Another thing is, this is Memorial Day weekend, and we forget what the purpose is, but I asked Todd to bring the POWMIA flag up, so we have it back there to remember it. Now, President, earlier you mentioned Cockrell Park.
Yes.
Did you mention in their program tomorrow?
I did not.
Would you kind of yield to you and you take care of that?
Sure. On tomorrow at Bill Cockrell at 11 a.m. there will be a Memorial Day celebration program that will be hosted by the Veterans Celebration Committee and the PAC. Please join us. It's free and open to the public. We would be elated to see you all there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and one other thing. A couple weeks ago, we had someone that we're all familiar with, I'm going to try to reserve using her name, that came up here on our government day and she's going to be recognized for a big award for what she's done in her school. She made a request for the commissioners, anybody could help, to help pay her way up to, I think it's Michigan or somewhere. I was able to help somewhat, but she called me the other day. This young lady called me. I don't know if she called anyone else, but thanked me for what I did, but I didn't do it. Someone on this commission did it. Those expenses are taken care of, and it's anonymous at this point, and I appreciate whoever did that. That speaks well to the commission.
Just everyone look forward. Don't look any other way, and just say thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton.
Thank you.
Vice President Chavez, you are already on the board somehow. I didn't touch any buttons. Magic.
That's all good. Fellow commissioners, this is something that I wanted to bring up. I don't want to call it a sore subject, but it's something that we need to address in dealing with the summer employment. I spoke with finance, and we have allocated a budget that we all agreed on last year of $140,000. That gives us, on an average, about $3,600 for the summer per student that we are allowed to hire on in our summer program, which nets us about 39 students total. Obviously, if you break that down into 12 commissioners and how many we're going to get per commissioner, we can offer employment for the summer to about 3.5 students per. Now, give and take, not all students are going to work the full 3 months. Some may work less. For instance, myself, I went upstairs to check with finance this week, and I have 3 students that I have helped retain a summer job. The numbers right now of reserved spots are at 60, which means our budget that we agreed on at $140,000 next year is going to explode to $259,000 that we're going to have to pay this summer if these commissioners that sit by me, not specifically you guys, but all of us, don't go up there, tighten our belts, and say, listen, we openly agreed to 4 students per commissioner. So I see some commissioners' name on the list that have 10 or 15 students, and I think it would be advantageous if you guys went upstairs to the 8th floor to look to make sure if these are actually students that got put under your name that you offered a job for, or that somebody may have stuck under you as a sponsor, because we can't have a situation. We agreed on $140,000 and we're sitting at $259,000 right now. There's a huge distance between 140 and 259. Not to mention having 60 students on the payroll. I don't think there's that much work, guys. I know it would bother me when I'd come in last summer if I saw some kids kind of leaning. I know working in the restaurant industry that the old saying was, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. So if, we're supposed to be injecting life into these children to teach them responsibility and the value of a good dollar and an honest day's work. I don't want them to get into the mindset that if you get into the work of government, you just get a paycheck and sit around and do nothing. That's not what we're trying to instill in our children. So I don't know how else to combat this, but I know that we can't go into this summer having 60 students on the books that we're going to employ to the tune of $259,000 to the taxpayers. So, like I said, I have 3 students that I brought on board. And I don't want to point any fingers, but it needs to be addressed because I asked upstairs and they said, hey, listen, this is up to the commissioners. So we have to police ourselves. So I would ask that you guys please go upstairs after this meeting or tomorrow and figure out why more than 3 or 4 are associated with your name, and see about dialing down. And sometimes it's hard to tell people, hey, I just can't offer you a job. I've done it in my own business. We don't have the means. So if you guys would take care of that, I would appreciate it. I know this was a hard topic, but I felt it needed to be said. On to something a little bit better. MPC, I see you guys out there. I am very, very appreciative with the business-friendly climate that we've achieved. I know I had a phone call from somebody in a different district, but I said, listen, call these guys and they'll take care of you. And they called back and they said they were very accommodating. That's happened numerous times in the last couple of weeks. So thank you, Steve and Jean, for what you guys have done. And under the guidance of Alan Clark, I know he's the interim, but you guys are making great strides down there, and it's not going unnoticed. Ted Cox, he's not out there, but last weekend I called him on his cell phone on a Saturday with a situation with it where a kid, a juvenile, kind of went off the deep end, and I needed some good advice on what to tell the parent. And to my shock, Ted actually called back. He gave me the advice, and we took it that Saturday. I told the parents. Monday, Ted called me back to check on her and then got her into a family counseling. And I just thought that was very highly of Ted to follow up on situations like that. So, Clay, I know you guys are always doing a good job down there, but it's nice to see it actually working, and for citizens to call back and say, this guy actually called me back and said he'd like to meet. So thanks for that. President, that's all. Happy Memorial to everybody else.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Attorney Frazier.
Yes, Commissioner, to address part of what Commissioner Chavez says, student workers or any other spending are not allocated by district. Now, I don't know about the budget discrepancy, but the charter prohibits spending by district.
Yeah.
So that should not be taking place. But what I really got on the board to say was you all are invited to Mr. Lucky's retirement reception next Friday, the 31st at 2 o'clock. It's open to the public, and it's going to take place inside the Government Plaza lobby. So I just want to make sure you have that on your calendar.
One more time, please.
2 p.m., May 31st.
Yeah, I did too. Surprise!
Yeah. Yes. So much for surprise. He probably knew.
He probably sent the invitations out. Got a Randy Lucky ducking booth.
Commissioner Billy Dominic.
Yeah, Haley, so help me out. So each one of us commissioners were eligible to have 4 student workers, no?
Well, from what Don was
Okay,
saying
all
is
right.
that we allocated monies for 48 students,
So that's, how much would that be?
about 140,000, which is what's.
So how are we going over, or how are we going over that, or did we go over that?
Well, we went over last year and we're projected to go over again this year.
Well, if you go over it, how can you do it? I mean, you have to amend your budget to do it, correct?
You have to amend your budget if you go over by more than 5% in total. And we didn't go over more than 5% in total last year for the riverboat. And so as long as we're not over 5% in total.
So let me just ask the question. So we budgeted how much?
140.
140. And what are we on that right now? Do we know?
Well, the students haven't started working.
Hang on, I can't. Commissioner Johnson, I'm talking to her, please. Let me ask you a question to her.
And the students haven't started working as of yet, so we haven't spent anything. So based on the number of students that we have, we will go over a significant
How much?
amount. Well, I mean, it's gonna be based on how many hours the students work, but if they work.
Well, how many students do we have
We
projected?
currently have 61 students on the list.
Got one more.
Who decides who the students are then?
The commissioners turn in names of the students.
So if I want to turn in 10 names, I can turn in 10 names.
I mean, that's what happens, yes.
Okay. Yeah, this isn't being run the way we said it was going to be run. So if it doesn't get straightened out, we need to do away with it.
Oh, no, can't do away with it now. It's for the kids.
I'll wait.
Well, I mean, the thing about it was, just what Commissioner Chavez says, we have a program and we agreed to do it a certain way, so we need to get it straight.
I agree. Like healthcare, we don't throw it away.
Thank you,
Just
Commissioner Dominic.
fine-tune it.
Commissioner Atkins is already on board.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to reflect on or concur with what Commissioner Chavez said about the MPC's performance. Mr. Jean, I think from what I've seen, from a business standpoint, performance has improved dramatically. So thank you all for your attention to to facilitating the growth plans of businesses. Please pass that appreciation on to Mr. Clark. And in support of what Commissioner Dominic said, if Dr. Wilson were there, I'd say, Dr. Wilson, we look at you all to help manage this program to keep it within budget. And we agreed to a certain headcount number. I understand none of us like to say no, But as you know, I've said no. And we look to you all to help us manage that process and keep it within budget. So if you'll please pass that message on to Dr. Wilson. And Haley, if y'all could help pass that along. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
So,
all right, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. If anyone else requesting to speak and you don't see your name on the board, I have Commissioner Lewis Johnson's name already written down. We're having some technical difficulties. So if you need to get on the board, if you would just signify by raising your hand. I was on the board to speak also, but I'm back on there again. I have, Haley, the numbers that we were given, by 12 kids, if we went from 48 to 60 kids, how would that carry us over another additional $100,000?
That's my question.
Well, we did the math by 61 kids working 40 hours a week for 12 weeks at $9 an hour. And if you do the simple math, it's going to be about $256,000.
So
we did that with the 39 is what gets you to actually 140. But as I explained it, we still could do the 48 because not all the kids work 40 hours a week.
Absolutely.
Not all the kids work the full 12 weeks. And so because of those fluctuations, the 140 could get you to the 48 with so when you say it's kind of doubled it, because you almost doubled your kids when you go from 39 to 60.
Right.
So but that's with the maximum spend.
Absolutely. And so I guess when we're using words like almost or could be, those are not definite things that we're talking about. So when we're saying things like that out there publicly, of course, most of us around here support the summer work program. It was designed, as a safety initiative to also expose these kids to another form of working experience. I hate for it to be a debate about us, providing these jobs that are available for them. And as well as I personally have said no, still getting phone calls. And I know that a lot of commissioners do not use their allocated amount of applications or whatever. So with that being said, I think that the best thing that we should be saying is encouraging these kids to continue to apply for these positions as they become available. I know that no one has been hired to work at this time, so we're still just seeing a general number. But I cannot accept a number to double what we paid out last year for additional 12 kids. That would never match up. And there are some partnerships that are also out there with Caddo Parish for us to be able to provide these jobs. So before we go in and talking about adjusting our budget, I think we should wait on the administration to see what else is out there and available to help assist in these appropriations that we're doing. So I just wanted to put a pause in that right there to make sure before we just get too far off track about the summer work program of some jobs that have not yet begun. Don't know how long they're gonna last. Some kids come in and work a couple weeks, some work a couple months, some don't work all the entire week long. They're part-time. So I really just don't consider it, real numbers at this point. Those are my comments. And I think I have Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. To Vice President Chavez, I appreciate the information, not only what you said, but how you said it. And I completely understand that, and we do have to address that and be more compliant. I for sure am one that was guilty of that. I'm going to go up to 8th floor and do what I can do in that respect.
Thank you, Commissioner.
But that, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important services that we provide as relates to my district. And even though it appears to be influx or a lot of jobs or whatever, it's not so much about the cleaning or what the job itself, but the summer work program, it puts young people in a position where they have the responsibility of actually getting up and actually having to report to a job and actually being in an environment where they are exposed to a working environment and the benefits of working, whereas they otherwise would not be. So whereas it seems like a lot of numbers, and it's certainly up to administration to identify the availability on where they can go and where they cannot go. And though my number have exceeded it, and I'll work on that, I'm not offended. So if I have more than I should, and I do, and if those numbers are cut or whatever, I'm not offended. I understand that to be a necessity in that respect. So what you said makes good sense, and I can appreciate what you said and it happened to be said. But I just feel that, as President said, I'm still getting calls. And there are a lot of young people who really are looking for an opportunity, many of whom this summer job has been a real opportunity for them and a difference maker for them. So I kind of embrace it in that respect, but we still have a responsibility to be responsible as it relates to that. So I'll work on doing my part. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. When we kicked this program back off, I think it was 2013, 14, first thing that we heard as commissioners was the last time we had the program, we ended up with too many kids that we couldn't supervise all of them. So when we started the program, we basically, each commissioner on average we had a total of 24. Well, we saw that first year that there was room to have more kids to do more things. And so the number increased from 24 up to, from the time I thought it was supposed to be 48. 48 with, you got a parish our size, is still small. Good thing this year that the city of Shreveport is also having a summer program for kids. Mayor Perkins has brought that back, so they actually have summer kids working as well. We talk about ways that how we can reduce crime, ways that how we can improve quality of life improvements, and this is one. As a commissioner sees a kid that's not doing anything, go over there and talk to him, and encourage him to do something that if nobody told him to do it, do something. And then if you see him again that's not doing nothing, talk to what department he's in and say, well, can y'all move him and do something else? There's plenty to do around here. You just can't say that, well, you just don't want them to lean up against the wall. But the more kids that you have that's unemployed during the summer, that's not doing anything, it's going to find something to do. And that something to do, some of it's going to be good and some of it's going to be bad. But if we sit here and say, well, too many kids here, too many kids there, we don't want them to be working, we don't want to the budget to do this and do that, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to see them on the other side. And then they're going to be going to see Clay, and then we still going to be taking care of them. Still going to be taking care of them. And it's going to cost more then than it is now. So, this to me, it's petty that we doing this, but if we had a number that we all agreed to, then that's the number we agreed to. So if somebody went way over there, trim it down some. Or come back and say, hey, let's do something different. Let's adjust the budget. Let's do something. Other than to say, well, we don't want to do all this. Because that's the wrong answer in my opinion. Also, as another means, if the program is supposed to go from June to August and we got all these kids, then you shorten the program time. It's just that simple. It's not that hard. We really shouldn't even have this conversation during the meeting. We could have had this offline, but it's fine how it is. But my opinion is we need to employ the kids for the summer, and as many as we can do within our budget that we've already approved. If we need to readjust the budget, then we need to be talking amongst ourselves to get 7 votes to approve a new budget for summer program. Just that simple. We don't have to sit here and do all this talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, I agree with a lot of what has been said. I'll just say I just left a graduation last week from a student who I had working, one of the students I had working under me when I worked and supervised the mayor's intern program. And so lifelong relationships are formed through these programs. So I don't want us to discount the effectiveness of what we're doing here with these young minds. Stephen, I don't know if that guy sitting next to you was a student worker, but he looked okay.
He's permanent.
New staff member, okay. I don't know. I thought he may have been a student worker, but the experience that a lot of folks get here are intangible. Whatever administrative work we need to do to make it work, I would hope that Dr. Wilson and his staff would make it work. I know I don't have 10 or 15 people submitted, but I am still getting calls. This list that was this list that exists, can somebody just provide the?
No, kids.
Well, I mean, you could take the children's name off. We've got plenty of people upstairs. Somebody can take their name off or take their private information off and give a name and whose commissioner it is, because you know he said something that there may be some kids on there that we don't know is on there just assigned to. I want to be certain that there's not just anybody that's just assigned to me, because that's not a good look either. So I do know there was a situation where I told the young lady I had a waiting list, and somehow she still ended up with the application. So I just want to make sure.
She's
so
smart. You might want to hire her.
Right. Right. Well, hopefully you can read between the lines there.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can read between the lines there. But you know, but we cannot underestimate the effectiveness of the program. If we have to look at a budget amendment or adjusting the hours or adjusting the length, or I think we pay our kids pretty handsomely, adjusting the rate of pay in some areas. So whatever we have to do, but just want to make sure that we don't reduce the fact that, Clay, I don't know how much it costs for you to house a kid every day. Do you know how much? $369 a day. And I'm sure this $50 a day that they're going to make, as my pastor say, the funeral costs more than the investment that we're making now. The funeral costs more than the investment that we're making now. So let's just keep that in mind, and hope that we can work through this. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Todd, would you please put me in for June 3rd for Juvenile Justice Committee meeting at 2 p.m. and June 6th at 2 p.m. for an expungement meeting? I'm not going to say anything else about the summer work program. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I know you don't want to hear any more about the summer work program.
No, I'm sorry. No, you have the opportunity to speak. I'm not going to say anything else.
June 32.
I respect what all my colleagues have said from both sides of this argument. I know it's important to give young people an experience, and I know many of them might not have other opportunities. I understand all that, and I appreciate that, but I just ask that we maintain some discipline in this process, or it'll break down. Like it did before. You know, if we let it get out of hand, it'll end up going away, and then there won't be an opportunity for anybody. So let's show some discipline, put some boundaries in place, and then stick to our boundaries. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Okay. The last thing, I know on Monday we talked about these animal-related laws, enforcement handbook, and the mosquitoes. I just wanted to thank Animal Control for those pamphlets and their book as well, so that we can share with our citizens and it's available to the public. I see no one else in the queue.
Move to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. Happy
Thank you, Mario, for messing up the.